entrepreneurs, are you feeling overwhelmed by the rapid advancements of AI and the ever-present concerns of your own data protection? The constant evolution of technology is making it challenging to keep up. Well, the stakes are high and the pressure's on. Every day, AI developments bring both opportunities and challenges. How do you leverage AI without compromising your data security? What if one misstep led to a devastating breach? And we hear about it in the news all the time. Well, hey, tune in to Profit with a Plan, where we unravel these critical issues with my guest, Myra Roldan of Undesto. She'll share cutting-edge strategies, insights to help you navigate the AI landscape safely. And she'll guide us through the latest trends and must-know data protection tactics. Hey entrepreneurs, are you trying to make bigger profits in your small business? If you're like most of us business owners, increasing your profitability is always on your mind. And you're probably looking for ways to grow your revenue while growing your company. Well, you found a podcast that helps to share ideas to help you do just that. I'm Marcia Reiner, known as the Profit Booster and a business growth strategist. I've helped tons of small business owners to establish and implement a tangible plan that guarantees increased profitability, guides your growth, and plans for a future exit. Because building a highly profitable and sale-ready business creates a win-win scenario. That's more money now and a windfall when it's time to let go. And I want to share strategies that I've learned with you on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. But before we get started, I have something great to share with you. If you ever thought about supercharging your business and felt like you needed to avoid those profit plateaus, those operational headaches, or even those growth roadblocks, well, I've created a brand new Profit Booster playbook just for you. You'll uncover the 3 essential strategies and the quick way to take action on them. Now, this is not just a single-page report. It's filled with impactful strategies, actionable steps, and expert guidance to elevate your profits. Go download this playbook at boostingprofit.com. All right, I'm excited to have my guest on today, Myra Roldan, and she is a visionary thought leader and powerhouse keynote speaker with decades of experience in artificial intelligence. That's AI, guys. And disruptive technologies such as blockchain and mixed reality. As a LinkedIn top artificial intelligence voice, she excels at demystifying complex technologies and making them accessible and engaging for diverse audiences. Myra is deeply committed to advancing and improving the well-being of communities traditionally denied a seat at the table. Well, she is also the founder of her company Undesto, which is a boutique AI agency. Myra, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast. We're so excited to have you on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Marcia. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. It's a good day in the neighborhood, as they say. So I'm really excited about this topic because so many people are just like way involved with AI. And if you weren't involved with AI 6 months ago, you now have some sort of AI conversation in your space, and you're now the expert, which is really crazy. But before we get started in this AI conversation, I always love to bring the audience back up and find out how you got in the space of AI. And I know for a fact it was not just 6 months ago, right?
Yeah, it definitely was not 6 months ago. I have been in this space for about 12 years, and it sounds crazy to a lot of people. I had someone at a meeting where I told them I've been in the AI space for 12 years. They're like, what do you mean? It just came out last year. So it's really interesting. But, as with all things, I have been in the tech world for longer than I care to admit. And in that time, the introduction of like internet services, then the introduction of different technologies along the way. I think some of the more recent that really had people up in arms were like AR, VR, mixed reality, and people trying to figure out like, how do we incorporate this into the business? And my question is always, well, do you need to incorporate it into your business? With AI, that's been a different conversation, because now it's not a matter of like, do I need to incorporate it or how do I do it? Now it's like it's here, like it's just here.
It's
Um,
here with a flood, right?
with a
Tidal
flood.
wave.
Yeah. And so, interesting enough, I wrote a book in 2019 on designing conversational voice interfaces for Alexa devices, Google Home devices, which are AI.
Mm.
And so it's interesting that people don't see that as AI, but it is, and everyone has it in their homes, and they've been
And they
using
think it
it.
just started
Yeah,
6 months ago.
I know. So it's just, I think it's just an interesting time, and my mom says it's my time to shine now.
I love it. Well, you are shining, my friend. I tell you, this is such a really interesting space. And like I said, there's like, oh my gosh, I am so amazed at the people that were never even in the tech space before that are now calling themselves AI experts because they can write a prompt. They
Yes.
can ask it a question and get the answer that, they were all hoping for. So I mean, I always like take a little bit of uh liberty or leeway or give them a little bit of grace when they say they're AI experts. And I'm like, sure you are. Okay. So, but you, my friend, are the real AI experts. So that's why I got so excited when we met a few weeks back and bringing you on the show to talk about something that nobody is talking about, which is, oh my gosh, we're putting our valuable, important, secured information into AI to ask it to help us improve things. But where is that information going?
Yes. So this is an interesting conversation. It's one of my favorite conversations to have, especially with CEOs. Never fails. I'll have a conversation with a CEO, and they're very proud of themselves because they've been using ChatGPT to help them write emails and analyze documents and write reports. And so my number one question, and I don't do it to deflate them, but I ask them, are you using the free version of ChatGPT out in the cloud, like on the internet, right? Or do you have a paid account that you're using? And is that paid account an enterprise account? And normally the answer I get is, well, like I'm either using the free account, the free version, or I am paying the $20. And my next thing to them is like, are you putting in your company information, like company reports, company data? And 100% of the time, the answer is yes.
Of course,
And
because we wanted to make it better, right? We think
yes,
we have to
yes,
train the AI to know who they're talking about so they can talk about it more better, educationally better, right?
yes, yes. And they could help them write an email in their voice and help them understand what their business is about. The problem with that is that when you upload that data into a chat GPT or a Gemini or an Anthropic Claude, or into any other of these systems, your information is going into a server that you do not have control over.
Mm.
So the cloud, one of my favorite memes is like someone asked, like, what's the cloud? And it shows a picture of a bunch of clouds with a bunch of servers on it. And it says it's just a bunch of Linux servers, right? That live somewhere. Those Linux servers live in a data center that is shared with other data centers, with other servers for other organizations. But when you think about when you're uploading your information, right, into a web-based application, your information is leaving your network and now it's living somewhere else.
That's
And with the case with generative AI, if you have a paid account, OpenAI says we're not training our LLMs on our large language models, LLMs, on your data, but we reserve the right to use the outputs and the inputs to improve our systems and create new systems.
so basically that was a backdoor way of saying
Yeah,
we're using your data.
yeah, we're using like you're putting it up on our servers. Sorry about some stuff, right?
Yeah, oops. Right.
Oops. And so it's the responsibility of the user to make those decisions as to what information they're putting out there. And if you're putting out your trade secrets or potentially leaking trade secrets, right? You're putting yourself at a competitive disadvantage.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. Okay. I'm literally shaking in my shoes right now because I'm thinking anybody who's been playing in the AI space, and I outwardly put out there that I'm dating Chad GPT because I'm on the thing so much. Um, oh my goodness, all of that information has just been put out to the world. Now, I thought it was kind of a cool thing because one of the case studies that came back in a group that I was in was one of the girls goes, "Oh my gosh, I actually got a client from AI." And we said, "How did you do that?" She said, "Well, I've been grooming AI on my stuff to make it look and sound better, get my voice, have it write the emails, have it write copy for my website, and all the things that everybody's doing." And her client, when she asked, "How did you find me?" The client said, "Oh, I went into ChatGPT and I asked who's the best 1, 2, 3, 4, and it popped your name. So I looked at you, you looked good, and I called you." And I'm like, that's great. You made money off of it. But the real dirty secret is all of her content is
Yeah.
now that she had kept behind closed doors or behind a paywall, right? You have
Yep.
to pay me to get my intellectual property. You pay me to coach you, pay me to train you. It's now out there.
Yes. Yes. So that's an interesting case, right? I love that story. And it just goes to show that the information you're putting into the AI system is being regenerated in different formats, right? Because it's not spitting it out exactly as you're putting it
Oh,
in there.
sure. It changes an I to a we, or
Yeah.
the first
So,
word is not, unlock. You
yeah.
hear
So
all
the
the time.
interesting, yeah. And I tell people like uh, tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Anthropic, Claude, whatever ones you Grok, those are large language models, right? And a large language model is just a text predictor.
Mm,
It is predicting the next line in, or the next word, or a portion of a word in a sentence.
mm,
And so it's trained on all of the internet data out there. And, OpenAI was really smart on releasing it in research mode to the world. So anyone who could access it, right, had internet access and knew about it, could access it and use it. And a bunch of people just started uploading resumes and uploading business information and uploading, documents. And it was just so interesting. And that data was used to train these models even more. And which is why we got 3.5, we got ChatGPT 3.5, 4.0,
yeah, and 4.0.
4.0, right? Um, and before that, ChatGPT was like ChatGPT 1 and 2, 2.5 and
And it's
3.
going, it's such a rapid
Yeah.
pace these days. It's crazy.
Yeah, and so let me just tell you, so ChatGPT was a paper in 2019. It was released as a research paper in 2019. Think
Oh
about
my
this,
gosh. How
right?
fast.
Think about how fast it moved,
Wow.
right? And we just keep on feeding it data.
Hmm.
We just, especially personal information. Like someone told me, like, oh, I put in my birthday and my social security number. I was like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? Right. Um, because it wanted it to create like a persona for them. And I was like,
Yikes.
you have to be careful. But if you think about businesses, right? Think about, and this is my number one thing is that I always ask businesses, like, where are you in your AI journey? Are you currently using an AI system in your infrastructure? If not, like, what are your plans, right? Do you have an AI policy in place right now? Do you have an AI strategy? And the answer is usually no.
It's not. Look how long it takes us to get an HR document created.
Yeah, so the answer is usually no. And so my first thing when I engage someone in consulting is the first thing I like to do is let's tackle the AI policy and let's tackle your AI strategy. And I help them create frameworks.
Mm,
Then
good.
they can kind of share with their employees. And a lot of times I get pushback. They're like, well, we're not using it just yet. So like, why do, we could take our time in getting that policy and that for, and my answer to these employers is usually like, okay, just because you have not integrated it into your system does not mean that your employees are not using it
Exactly.
to complete their
Exactly.
tasks. And even if you banned it, even if your company has banned the use of AI, that's even worse. Your employees are still using it.
Which is the biggest risk factor of any business in any level, AI or not. Your biggest risk factor and your biggest leverage and tool for your company is your people. And
Yes.
if your people, I came out of the financial services industry and computers were on severe lockdown, like you basically needed a retina eye scan just to get in and see client data, but that was to protect the client data and so on. But it's like people don't realize that I'm trying to do my job better. So I'm going to go into ChatGPT and see if I can improve the process or system or write a better email or respond to the numbers I'm viewing so I'm not spending hours running a calculation. I want the answer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
human nature to try and make it, we're not cheating, we're just trying to make our job faster and easier. But
Yeah.
the employer doesn't realize that, do they?
No, they don't. And so I always tell employers, like, even if you're worst case scenario, you block the use of any generative AI tools because you want to try and protect your IP. Great. But what's stopping your employees from emailing themselves a document to their personal email, running it through ChatGPT, and then emailing it back to themselves to then put, hey, I didn't use my work computer to do it. I used my personal computer. So think about that. Not so there you have several security risks, right? Because one, you have an employee that's emailing personal data to themselves from your company. Might be protected data. You don't know.
Mhm.
Two, they're sending it to their personal computer. They're inputting it into a version of ChatGPT that the
Probably
company,
not paid for.
yeah, not paid for, and that the company doesn't have control over. So
Right.
your data has already left your premises. It is now out in the open. And then they're emailing it back to themselves with whatever the output is and putting it into your system.
Yikes. Yikes.
So just like with cybersecurity, right? Any cybersecurity, employees are your humans, are your number one vulnerability.
Mm,
And so I tell people, as specifically employers, is like, listen, you need to have an AI policy in place, even if you're trying to block it, because you can't block it.
right. And have
People
these
are invested.
conversations with them. Here's the policy. You can't do X, Y, and Z. And they're going to go, well, why not? Well, first of all,
You need
the
education too with the policy.
I said so, which is the old mother adage,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, having that education and having those pieces out there, I think this is a huge opportunity for companies, small, medium, and large, to protect themselves, protect their intellectual property, and the probability that things can go in and out, right? I mean, I think even cybersecurity is still in its infancy when it comes to the micro-sized business under 10 million in
Yep.
revenue. They're not even looking at that. They don't even have a budget for that yet.
Yeah.
This AI could get them in so much trouble.
Yes.
Not, trouble with the feds, but trouble protecting their data.
Yeah, and it could get them in trouble with like regulatory agencies. Think about like protected private information,
Mm,
leaking out. Like if someone takes a spreadsheet of customers and feeds it into ChatGPT, that's a violation of, customer data.
wow.
Yeah. So people don't
Wow.
think about that. You could be in total uh non-compliance when it comes to regulatory, you know, uh compliance issues.
Wow. Okay. So we've
Yeah, so
scared the
let's
pants off everybody. There's
yeah,
there's
I'm always a fearmonger. So let's
let's breathe a little bit and go,
yeah,
okay, what can we do? Small business owners, not the big enterprise companies and the Amazons and the Microsofts. We just had a Microsoft,
Yep,
trouble going today, but
I know.
in the recording, but yeah, so I mean, not the big companies, but the mom and pops, the Main Street businesses, everybody that's trying to do more with less, us little folks, and I use that term endearing. How could we little folk in the business world protect ourselves, protect our data, and make sure everything's going right?
Yeah, so I like to say there's a few steps you can take. So the first one is putting a policy into place,
Love that.
and making sure that you are socializing the policy with your employees, having them sign up. You need to have some consequence
Endorse,
and
or yeah, enforcing it.
enforcing it. You need to have a way to enforce it. Two, you need employee education. So informed employees and educated employees will work best because people, for the most part, don't want to harm the companies they're working for.
It's not.
They want
They're
to
trying to,
they
they
want to
think they were
do
doing it better.
yeah. And if they know and if they're aware of the risks and aware that, they should not be doing some things and why, they're more likely to stick to your policy, right? The second is to conduct a risk assessment within your organization. So once you have a policy in place, and even before you get the policy, do a quick risk assessment and identify like where are your vulnerabilities, right? We know that people are first, right? So that's always your first vulnerability. But look at your systems. Are you using like Office 365 that has Copilot embedded, and what's the use of that? And how much are you paying for it? Identify, have some data is your data classified? Do you have classification systems for your data? Where things are marked like confidential, private, public. That's important, right? Having a data classification system. I work with a lot of my customers on helping them develop a data classification system because they don't have one.
And you don't think
Um,
about that. You just think about, okay, it's my company, it's my stuff, it's going to be
yeah,
safe, right? Wrong.
no. So having a data classification system is really important. And the audit is labeling your data, like the files that you have. Like, is it confidential internal only, right? Is it confidential external with customers? Is it public data, like, stuff on your website? Is it customer information that's protected information that should be safeguarded, right? Is it financial data that should be safeguarded? Is it trade secrets? So all of that, by having it all classified and segregated, and it helps employees understand like what data can they use and they can't use,
Mm,
right?
well
And you
said.
put that in the policy. I would say looking at your security, general security, like are you like, is your network secure? Are people using their own laptops? Are they using company issued laptops? There's no wrong or right way there, but
Well,
just
not
having
only that, many people are using their
their
phone,
phones. Yeah.
at work, and it's like on the network, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, you know?
Yeah. But you have to, like, there's no way that you can secure your network 100%. So you have to be okay with the level of vulnerability that you have, right? Like you need to be okay with some risk because no one is risk free.
No,
Even
but I
yeah.
I think that's a really good point because, we can go, oh my gosh, the sky is falling and go stick our head in the sand, or we can try and protect everything, which is the polar opposite. But I think with anything, right, if we could
Yeah.
assess and have a good knowledge base of what are some things that we can implement and what we can and can't control, then I think we're making educated decisions as business owners as to what we can afford to do, what we have to do, what we can maybe set up in next year's budget, or start bringing on in different ways of doing things. So I think that this conversation is not meant to scare and rattle everybody a little bit, but on the other side of it is like there are things that we can do,
Yes.
and making sure that we're aware so we can make really good decisions in what
And
we
that's what it's all about. It's about prioritizing and mitigating risk, right?
exactly.
Can't
All
be
right.
risk averse in this kind of business,
No,
right?
we're entrepreneurs. We're risking our family's livelihood on running a business. I mean, there are going to be risks with that, but I think taking the ones that are calculated are better. So you've given us two ideas. You said that we should have a policy and plan in place and take care of that. You said that we should start to look at the security of the company and so on. What else should we do?
Yeah. So I also mentioned the data classification. That's really important. And then I would say the third thing would be around data privacy and consent.
Hmm.
So having a data privacy policy in place and consent from your customers as to how you can use their data is going to be important. Also, it will protect you from somewhat from being sued,
Well,
right?
that's if you abide by the policy you set in place too.
Yeah. So having consent to use data, written consent, having that privacy policy in place that lets customer know if you are using AI, generative AI, how you're using their data, what data you're using, and where that data will be stored. That's going to be super important. Having that data storage and data sharing into your policies, right? It doesn't have to be all a bazillion policies. It could be in your AI policy, one
Right.
AI policy, having a data management policy in there also that can be accessed by your customers. I would say the other thing that you want to do is implementing some security measures. So if you're going to block AI, good luck.
Right,
But
I know.
if you are going to put a gate the access to AI in your systems, having a pop-up that comes up when someone goes to like a chat GPT right on their laptop that says like, this is our policy. You understand that, we're monitoring the sites that you're going to, blah, 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 and they have to click OK. That more than likely will deter people.
Yeah. That no, no, no,
Yeah,
no,
like, hey,
no,
hey, hey, we're watching you.
no.
We
That's
see
great.
you.
So I
Yeah.
think that this has been really good because we've talked a lot about what, the benefits are and the things we can do. And I really like the idea that there are, and I'm sure nobody knew about this, but there are levels of protection inside of AI that will allow you to protect some of your data, like enterprise purposes,
Yep.
protecting the data that you have, and then it stays on a different server and not an open server, and they've got different rules on it. But we know it's out there. It's hit us like a locomotive train that, just hit everybody at once over this last year. So knowing that, having these policies in place of what you should do, what you couldn't do, and embracing the idea of AI because it is a really helpful tool when used properly, and understanding where your data is being stored and put out there. Now that you have these awarenesses and you know that this is a valuable tool, how do you maximize it, right? How do you maximize the security, but how do you maximize the use of it and encourage your teams to still be on the forefront? Because the polar opposite is if you block it, like you said, and you say, you're never going to use AI in my company, then you are going to get left behind like faster than you can blink your eyes because everybody's using it.
Yeah, but I would kind of push back on that a little
Okay,
because
good.
not everyone has to use generative AI. Let's just make this clear. Again, it is a text predicting system, right? It is text-based. Then we have like stable diffusion, that's an image generation.
That's Dolly, right?
Right, that's Dolly, that's Midjourney. We have, it's not that you're going to get left behind. I think it's figuring out the use cases for your organization,
Mm-hmm.
right? And being clear on when it can be used, what roles can use it, what data can be used, right? And then deciding like if you're going to have AI initiatives, prioritizing, where are you going to prioritize that? And then you get the extreme. I'm going to share. I always love when customers tell me, oh, we're going to just build our own large language model. I'm like, okay, so it's billions of dollars and thousands of hours to do that, right? Do you have the money and the time to do that? No. What you're doing is you're piggybacking on a system, which means that you're going to use like in OpenAI, there's the API for OpenAI that will process your data. It can process data, but then like your output is put somewhere else. So what you're doing is you're piggybacking on those systems, and you can do that fairly cheaply to bring a system internally, have like some kind of, you can do automations very quickly that way. You made sure that you're using a protected third party. I like Zapier, which connects multiple systems, and it's just like a tunnel, right?
Yes.
It's not saving anything. It's just like connecting two systems. So looking at like where are you going to use it? What are the use cases? And like being able to measure your return on investment.
Exactly.
Right. So I'm all about measuring that ROI and figuring out like, okay, if we're going to do XYZ, what is the return on investment that we're seeking from it? Like, what's the outcome
Speaking
that,
my language.
yeah, is it going to help us generate more money? Right. Is it going to
Yes.
help us close more deals quicker?
Yes.
Is it going to allow us to reach a whole nother market? I don't want to like return on investment, like writing an email quicker is not a return on investment, although we spend a lot of time with email.
Yeah.
I don't consider that a considerable return on investment that shows a profit, and talking about profits, right? That will show a good profit into your business.
Mm. Mm.
Automating a proposal, maybe, right? There's automation software out there that will help you automate your proposals. You still have to look at it. There still has to be a human in the loop because
Yes.
it's not 100%.
Yep. You still need human eyes. That's the great thing about the ones that are truly successful with AI are using it as a starting point. And then they have the eyes that, review it and go over it and correct and adjust and make theirs rather than just producing something and shipping it out. So
Yeah, definitely. Like you can use like one of my use cases, like this is my personal use case. So I write big proposals because I need to give customers detail. So for my proposals, what I did is I created a generic template using I actually used Anthropic Claude to create a generic template, and then I brought that into my computer, right, separate from the AI system, and then I turned that into my template. I added all my company details. I added, the general stuff that isn't found on my website. So I just had it like, here's my website, here's the information, fill it in because that's public information. But then for all the other information that I needed to add, I brought that to my computer, but it did cut down my process significantly.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, so there's great case studies for it that'll make it work. I think
Yeah.
just being aware of what it does and where it's going and how you can protect and ensure that you're taking logical risks as a business when using AI. So
Yeah, definitely. And again, it's when I tell people AI is the tool.
yeah.
It's not going to take anyone's job right now because it still requires human oversight. What we are using is not considered smart AI. It cannot make decisions on its own. It cannot think critically about an issue. It cannot make a clear decision on anything, right? You cannot have this AI make a decision for you. That is still a human creative critical thinking skill. And so there are things that humans do better than AI.
There's one. Yay. No,
Yeah.
I'm just
And
kidding.
that's a big one,
I know
right?
it's a fantastic one. And I think I think that's a really incredible point that we all should take in is that we're still making decisions and AI can't yet, or at least the AI that we're all using can't yet. So
Yeah. The
awesome.
AI, yeah, like we don't have that. Like this is still dumb AI. It's still a language model. It is just spitting out, it's regurgitating what it's learned, right?
Nice.
So think about I remember when I had to learn the Pledge of Allegiance, right?
Memorize.
Think about that, right? Many, many moons ago, you regurgitate the Pledge of Allegiance, right? You can now, if I asked you to do, recite the Pledge of Allegiance, you can do it without thinking. You can regurgitate it, right?
Right.
Think about when you're learning a new task, the large language models operate in the same manner.
Mm.
They are learning constantly. They're not perfect. There's this whole thing about hallucination, which is like it's lying. It's not really
It's
lying,
not, it's yeah, that's funny. We've seen that
right?
a lot. It's where it's like, where are you going? That is not the question I asked you. And where
Yeah,
did that come up with, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that it's lying, it's predicting. So like, I tell people like, think about, I wish I had a ball in here. If I were to ask AI without context, what is a ball, right? It may come back and say, oh, it's a party,
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? No context, it's a party.
Yeah.
Where I'm referring to a ball, like,
It can bounce.
a spherical thing that can bounce, right?
Yeah.
So think about how we teach a 2-year-old. If we gave a 2-year-old can tell you this is a ball and they have a context, they have a model of what a ball is. AI does not have a model for what a ball looks like
Interesting.
or what it is, right? So that's human intelligence that can do that. We can create models of the world in our heads where
Mhm.
AI does not have that ability.
Nice. Wow.
I
Okay.
was about to go down a rabbit hole from that
I
one.
know. Myra, we could talk for days on this. This has been so incredibly enlightening, valuable, and hopefully not too scary, but enough to get someone to think, oh, okay, I didn't think about that way. I should consider doing something, right?
Yes,
And that's the
definitely.
whole idea. So you've been so helpful for this and truly, truly, truly appreciate this conversation. But where can listeners find out more about you and Udesto and how they can maybe put some pieces in place on their own?
Yeah, definitely. So they can find my company website is undesto.ai, and it's undesto.ai. And they can also find me on LinkedIn under Myra Roldan on LinkedIn. There aren't many of us. Um, and I'm also providing a report that I created for our listeners and for anyone who goes to our website, on safeguarding business data in the age of generative AI, where I provide you with some strategies and best practices. And it's a freebie that you can download, and I'm super excited to offer that. I'm also offering some public workshops.
Oh,
So
cool.
you can find that information on our website. As we update those, there's links there. So, and if you're interested in hosting a webinar for your company, you can reach out to us and we can arrange that for you.
Awesome. Lots of opportunities to get more skills and knowledge in the space of AI. So this is great. So give us again one more time, Undesto, spell it.
Yeah, undesto.ai is UNDESTO
Great.
dot AI. That's their website, the website. And then Myra Roldan on LinkedIn. You can find me there. I post a lot on LinkedIn. I'm also TikTok famous, guys. So you can find me under Learn with Myra on TikTok.
Wow, didn't even realize we had a TikTok star, so that's awesome. Okay, cool. Cool. I love it. I love it. This is so incredibly valuable in a time and age where things are going at hyper speed, and we really need to make sure that we're CYA, right?
Yeah,
We're covering our behinds.
definitely. Let
Love it.
us let us cover your AI, please.
I love it. Cover your AI. There's a new one. I only want 20% for the idea. We're good. But yeah, no, it's a perfect conversation that needs to happen and needs to make awareness for us business owners. All
Yeah.
right. Listeners, thanks for listening today. I hope you found a couple ideas that you can put into your business to ensure that your business is safe and profitable, right? You don't want to get into a situation where your idea, your moneymaker, right, has now been put out on the internet and made available for everybody to just type and go, oh, I want this diet plan on something or other, and boop, there it comes up, and that was all your idea that's now out in the world. So just make sure you're covering your AI. As I mentioned, how would you like to supercharge your business? Go ahead and download my new Profit Booster playbook, packed with 3 profit boosting strategies and the actionable steps that you can take right now to make this your most profitable year ever. Go grab it for free at boostingprofit.com. All right, Myra and I are going to sit on this chat here when it comes out, and we want you to tell us what you're doing. What is your plan of attack on AI? What is your strategy? The first thing that you're going to implement in your company after listening to this podcast, tell us in the chat so we can help guide you and make sure you're doing the right thing and the right priority, and fill you with even more ideas. So hit us up in the comments, and don't forget, subscribe. You don't want to miss future podcasts. You can always catch Profit with a Plan every Tuesday on your favorite podcast players. And we're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thank you so much, Myra. This has been incredible.
Thank you for having me. This was fun. Thanks, Marcia.